Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Furman Football Weekly with Clay Hendricks get-together. Paladins coming off of the win over VMI, close out the 2025 season this weekend at Clemson. We'll give you all the broadcast information coming up at the end of the press conference. Joining Clay today are players Riley Herbert and Ian Williams. Ask Coach Hendricks to make an opening statement, and then let Tom Van Hoy ask the first question.
Thank you, Dan. Really happy with the win. Senior day, last home game. So always great to get a win. Seniors out with that. Proud of our team. Really good week of prep. I think they've done a pretty good job of that all year long. And I thought really solid day Saturday. I felt like offensively, certainly we left some points out there. We felt like in the first half. I thought defensively, probably other than the one drive, played pretty solid most of the day. I think I followed up that drive with maybe three straight 3-and-outs, and then the offense responded, and so that's kind of how you want to play, and really solid in the kicking game as well. So, got one more opportunity, huge challenge, but I know our guys will be excited to go, and we had our Tuesday's a little different for us because of our morning meetings, and then we practice a little bit earlier in the afternoon because of some class conflicts we have in the afternoon. But we'll need to have a great week of prep to give us the best chance to go play our very best, which we'll need to be able to do. But I also think our guys will be in a mindset to go do that, and we're in pretty good shape health-wise, to be game 12. And I think the other thing I kind of realized, this is 9 in a row for us. I think we had the earliest bye of anybody maybe in the conference, and but 9 in a row is tough. But our guys have managed it pretty well, and again, we need to go have a good week of practice this week.
Coach, you talk about the importance of the drive right before half and then coming out in the second half and made a difference in the game.
Oh yeah, that was huge. I mean, I thought not only that, but even the 2-point conversion I thought was big. Again, just left some points out there in the first half, and but to get the drive, then they answered. I think maybe minute 15. Again, something we worked really hard at, all year, and we've been pretty good in those situations. But great drive there. Then they jumped off. Actually, I think got 2 penalties. I had to get the math straight on how they're going to mark off the penalties there. It was. My Furman degree served me well because I was right, but felt comfortable being able to go for 2, and 8-point lead was big there, and then certainly didn't get a very good return to start the second half. We kind of bobbled the return, started on the 15, and had an 85-yard drive to score, and then again I think we went 3 straight 3-and-outs. Defensively after that was really kind of the difference in the game, and able to play a ton of guys, which I thought was really cool. For that last day.
Ian, I want to ask you to dust off a few cobwebs and back you up a little bit, and ask you about your recruitment out of high school at Weddington. You signed with NC State. Who else recruited you? And after a semester or a full year at NC State, you come to Furman, and you've had a tremendous 4-year career. But just walk us through your initial college experience and what got you.
Yeah, so out of high school, it was NC State and Furman. I had a full ride to here out of high school. I came up here for an official visit in 2019, right after the season, near Thanksgiving. I think right around this time. And I don't know, I just got an offer to NC State. And when you're young, you see those big offers, and I wanted to commit there. So unfortunately, I was behind 2 guys at NC State. They came back for their 5th year, kind of like what I did here. Kind of wasn't my time. I felt like I needed to go play. So Nicky Kazemka, I reached out to him and see what Furman was like if they need any kickers. So I reached out to Coach Hendricks, and I think he helped me along the way too to kind of put a word in for me so I could get on the phone with Coach Hendricks. And luckily they kind of gave me an offer, and I was like, you know what? Should have came here out of high school. I need to take this opportunity, and I've enjoyed it ever since. So it's been a fun journey here. And, this is my last game as a Paladin, so I'm excited for that too.
Clay, early in the season, we talked about how good it was to see Jaquan Smith back out on the field and playing after that devastating knee injury that cost him a season and a half, and he's settled into a nice role for you as kind of your short yardage specialist. You have 15 rushing touchdowns, and he has 6 of them, and he seems obviously a guy that you're confident in going to get the job done in that situation, right?
Yeah, I think it goes back to even you think about week 1. I guess William Mary, we get the stop, got to make first down to really end the game, and I think the last play maybe was 3rd and 5 or 6 or something, and gave it to him there, and probably was, I don't know how many carries he'd had in that game prior to that time. Hadn't been tackled in a year and a half before that game, because we obviously didn't tackle him in the fall, but it just seems like every time he's had an opportunity this year, he's kind of made a play, and certainly he's a big, strong guy, so you kind of like in those situations, and and again, just a guy that just the ultimate respect of his teammates. What he's about. I mean, he's got a bright future. He wants to go to med school, and just for him to be able to get back in there again, and again, just really trustworthy. I think at the end of the day, it's trust, and a lot of people have a lot of confidence in him, and certainly thrilled for him and the opportunity he had.
Raleigh, can you talk about the play of the defense on Saturday against VMI? You did an outstanding job that day. Anything different? You just got after it pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good plan going into it, and like Coach Hendricks said, just a great week of prep. Kind of switched the defense around a little bit, just trying to get more, zone coverages going in. But no, really, it just came down to execution, which is something that we haven't really been great at in the past couple of weeks. So I think we just executed real well, and we're able to get off the field on 3rd down. So.
Coach Hendricks, it seems like every year we obviously play at least one money game. I think it's been 1 year we played 2. We played Auburn, Missouri 1 year. But invariably, whenever we come to this week and we're going to play a P5 or an FBS or whatever they're known by this week, the discussion starts among fans like they're worried that these games are going to go away because the powers that be affect college football, seem to be making a lot of changes that are going to step up, put more beef in their conference schedules. But I know you have a full grasp of that, where we stand with that, and I know there's a lot of fear-mongering about these games to go away, but I think you see it the other way. There's an opportunity maybe to continue these games based on what the big boys are going to be dealing with down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think this time in college football, everybody has lots of concerns about lots of things. That was a concern. That's been talked about a lot, but I do know we've added some games recently. I don't know they've all been announced, but I think we're maybe through like 29. I think we have commitments for games. I do think as some of these teams have gone to nine-game schedules, conference schedules, like we're going to in a couple of years, brought that into play. But I don't know. I get the feeling they're going to keep the FCS games and not play one of those other money FBS games where they're paying over twice as much anyways. Because at FCS level, there's kind of a little bit of a going rate that seems to be what you kind of seem to get. And I think by them playing an extra conference game, I'm not sure they want to add to their schedule that much more. So I don't know. I'm fairly confident that they will, but again, who knows? But the unusual thing for me is I've never played one of these at the end of the year. I don't remember ever being a part. I know Furman. I know the time I was gone, I think they had the 2, and one of them was later. We just never played one at the end of the year, so that's a little different, especially when it's the last game for us. They certainly have the. I don't know if you'd say the biggest game on their schedule, but you'd have to ask them that. But one of the biggest games on their schedule is next week. I'm sure their conference means a lot to them too, but obviously having a rival like that rivalry, that's a big game. So it'd be interesting to see how it affects what their mindset is. I know this, when you play them the first game or the second game, they're all excited. And everybody's looking for statistics and everybody, and so later in the year, everybody's a little more beat up. How does that affect? I don't know. I mean, you watch them, they're still Clemson. They're still who they are, and one of the best programs in the country have been for many years, and got great players and talent, and so that still stands out. But I don't know. I'm confident for the foreseeable future they're going to remain.
Clay, you come from a background that likes to run the football. This season, it's been a pass-heavy season. We go into the game with Trey Hedden needing 171 yards to set 172, set the school single-season passing record. Has that been difficult for you to adjust to what your offense has had to be this season?
I don't think it's been necessarily hard for me. I like their ability to, kind of look at some of the things we've done in the passing game. I think certainly the balance part bothers me because I'm still a believer. And again, I've thrown it at our team. Go look up the history of Furman football. We've been playing football a long time. Go look at the top 25 all-time single-game passing games and see what our record is. I can tell you what it is. It's not real good. I can tell you the same thing if you pull up the top. I think it was the top 14 passing games against us, what those teams' records were in that game. So I don't think that's guaranteed success. For me, it's about, to be an elite, to be a championship team, to go win, you got to be balanced, and you measure that in different ways. And I'm fine. I think our league, Hunter would know this. If you look at our league and you look at statistics, and I think if you went back and pulled 6, 7, 8 years ago, it'd be crazy difference. Here you look at rushing statistics. I think that's a little bit of a lot of places. We got to have more balance, and I think we've had more. Certainly we did a year ago. So I think we're still trying to learn that a little bit. It's, certainly your personnel dictates that a little bit. But I'm happy. I'm happy with doing really good things in the passing game. Now turnovers have been, they certainly can really hurt. But you can turn over and run the football too. But I just, the thing for us to continue to take steps and be where we want to be, sitting here a year from now, we got to have more balance there. And I think that's what our focus, whatever the things we have to do to be more balanced.
It's for both Raleigh and Ian. Coach was asking a minute ago about playing Clemson and a game of that magnitude, State and so forth. What do you guys think about it? You can start.
I mean, I think it's just a great opportunity. Last week of the season, really wouldn't want to play anybody else. Big game. And, these are kind of the games that, you look forward to as a little kid, wanting to go into somebody else's place and, get a win. So I'm real excited, just real excited for our team to get the opportunity to go play them.
Yeah, like Raleigh said, you've always grown up dreaming of playing on a stage like this. So I'm looking forward to it. It's the last game of the season, last game of my career. And for a bunch of guys, we're going to leave it all out on the floor and just kind of do our best and have fun doing it.
Okay, for both you guys, again, can you talk about what it's meant for you to come to Furman and have this experience? And Ian, you can start with it.
It's been awesome. I can't thank Coach Hendricks enough. It's been awesome here, and it's one of the reasons why I couldn't leave. Coach Hendricks is a great guy, and I love it here. I truly do. And man, it's just so unfortunate it's coming to an end. And but I've loved it here. So.
Yeah, I mean, I still got a couple years to go, but I mean, on that similar note, it's an awesome place. I mean, you don't really get an experience like this anywhere else, and I think the people is what kind of grounds that. And kind of like Ian said, the people here to die for and the relationships made are just something that you can't really get at a lot of other places. So I love it here, and I'll be a Den until I die. So.
Hey, and I'd like to interject there a little bit. Just Ian particularly, just because he is. This is his last one this week. In this era of, I don't say no loyalty, but I mean just talking about a loyal guy. You think about what he's done in his track record and how good he's been at what he does. He and I never ever had a conversation about anything other than. He graduated and we're working on the grad options, and I remember him just saying, Coach, I like it here. I like my teammates and what I'm doing, and like I said, just his loyalty to our program and to us. And I don't think anybody, I think if he'd gone searching, there's no telling what would what opportunity he might have had, but. It just speaks volumes for him and his family. And like I say, same thing about Raleigh, all our guys, and again, it's just a time where there's opportunities sometimes you got to take. I mean, it's no different coaches, anybody else. But I just, just his loyalty and, kind of teammate he's been. Watch him. He's got a bright future regardless of what he could be doing, whether he's still kicking beyond Furman or he's working. But again, and that's one of the great things about our place.
Yeah, Ian, Coach halfway asked a question I was going to ask, because the last 4 years anybody who's seen you even just kick warm-ups sound like, man, that guy's got an NFL leg there. And, you've shown it in games too. You've made a couple 57-yarders. You've had the distance the other day. Looked like it's about plus 15 from 55. I don't know what it was. But anyway, I don't want to talk about just, maybe what you're looking at for your future, after Saturday and after you collect your graduate degree. Do you want to try to give the NFL a shot? I mean, those guys, of course, they all got powerful legs, and if they miss 2 in a row, they get cut. So it's a pretty competitive position, but is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, it's definitely the goal. And, I mean, with the shot I have right now, I might as well take it. So for the next half a year, I'm definitely going to go back home. I work with a trainer back at home, so I'm going to go back home. And I'm just kind of focused on this last game and then kind of worry about that next week. So still putting my head down and just kind of, had 2 misses last week, but I just kind of the way the game is, how you respond to what happens. And I know this week I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do and have a couple more field goals for my last game.
Coach, you said a minute ago Clemson is Clemson. From their standard, it's not been wins and losses a type of year, but when you scout them, what do you see?
Just all those things you look for, everybody looks for now, big measurables, size and speed. And I used to watch the way they play. I mean, God, they've always been so good defensively, really good players, but they play at a high level. They're coached at a high level. There's just really nothing that stands out from a weakness standpoint. I'm sure it hadn't. I know the year hadn't gone to their standards, and they have extremely high expectations. So, but I think it's a little bit of the adjusting to the world that we're in right now. I think they've had to adjust. I say all the time, everybody has problems. They're just different. Every family has them, and I'm sure they're having to adjust to some different things. And but they're still they can line up and play with anybody. On a given day right now. They'd probably tell you this is not their best team. That they've had the best team in the country for a number of times. So, but they're just kind of outstanding in every way.
Raleigh, you mentioned a moment ago, a couple of years left, 3 wins last year, at least 6 wins this year. How do you feel about the program going forward?
I'm just excited to be able to keep playing. I think we got a lot of improving to do, which will come in the off season. But I mean, like Ian said, we got one more game. We got to go put it all out there this week. So I'm excited to see how we do on Saturday, how we do in prep, and then just carrying that over into spring with our preparation leading up to next season. So I think we got a bright future, and I'm just really excited to be a part of it.
It's for both of the players. You talked a moment ago about the opportunity in playing in a game like this. I just used the calculator because my math skills aren't that good, but if Hunter Reed's statistics are correct, through 11 games this season, we have played before a total of 82,784 people. You're going to play in front of close to that many in one game on Saturday. Does that kind of jack you up a little bit?
Of course. I mean, that's why you play the game, You got a bunch of people watching you, just doing what you love. So I'm excited just to play in there. Playing Clemson was the first big game I played in my first year here at Furman, and I mean, there's no better place than Death Valley, so it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely an adrenaline boost, walking out of the tunnel, just seeing that many people. But like Ian said, I'm super excited. Never been there before, so looking for a great opportunity.
Coach, as you look at the season and overall, how do you feel like your team has played this year?
I really felt there was one game the entire year that we didn't play really well in parts of the game. There was one game I felt like we just didn't play. We didn't play well. I think I do know this. You talk about going forward. I think my goal is try to keep this group together. because we do. I think if you look on paper, I think 9 of the 11 on defense are sophomores, freshmen. Starting there, and you get a few other guys back. I think we continue to recruit well. I think we're in it's like I said, we want to recruit, we want to retain. We got to get into retain mode, and trying to keep them together, because I do think we have a chance to have a really, really good group. Now we got to address some things. We got to address some. I think we all know we got some deficiencies. I think everybody has them. You got to decide what they are and how you're going to go about addressing it. But been a little inconsistent. I think offensively, the story was about turnovers, and probably didn't run the ball, which certainly as well as we need to. And then I think the defense, the number of explosives we allowed, and it's probably a third down. Third down, not doing a good enough job on third down, and what, you probably could say some of those same things about every year. Some years you take better care of the ball. But I think it's all stuff we can address, going forward. I'm disappointed that we hadn't. I mean, just realistically for me, I think we should be in a situation where we had a chance to win about 9 games. I thought we should win 8 or 9 games. We're right there in the mix of the playoff consideration, and I think we were certainly capable of doing that. We didn't get there, and and again, I think excited about the group we got coming back. But we'll like I said, we're gonna have a great week, and we'll there'll be a break. Break will be good for everybody. We're dealing with recruiting, and you kind of change season. You change the season as you go, but there'll be a time to get rolling for next year, because our sport is a 365-day-a-year sport, and and the good thing about it is it changes constantly. You're kind of doing different things, but yeah, to say I wasn't disappointed, yeah, absolutely it was. Disappointed, again, I think that I didn't get us to be as consistent, and I don't think it was a want to. It was just we got to coach them up better, and. I think it's going to go back to fundamentals. We got to be better fundamentally, which I think fundamentally affects all those things we just talked about. And I think that's what the focus has got to be going forward.
Coach, you mentioned recruiting a couple of times. You're coming off of a weekend when you had a number of official visits here. Just in general, what you can speak to, how did that go, and what does that entail for maybe our fans?
Well, what's kind of interesting, Dan, the calendar's all changed a lot. We have a December 3rd signing day and early signing day, which now the portal is pushed to I think starts on January the 2nd. Normally you would finish the season and have time to go out and do some things before that 3rd day. You really won't be able to do that. You won't have a contact period before that. So everything's has started sooner. So in the summer, different stuff. So we did have a group. We don't have a ton of spots. We don't have a ton of spots to fill, but we're in the process of doing that. We certainly hope to sign a group on the 3rd. Will we be involved in the portal a little bit? It's kind of hard to say right now. I think a lot of things are going to change everywhere in about the next month. So I think you'll have to be able to adjust on the fly. But now you're able to get them here. The one time they can come on official visit, and we've had a couple of kids. We used to never have kids come during the season, and now you almost are forced to do that just to get them here before that. So we had a few throughout the season, but it's going well. We're excited where it's at. Again, trying to fill needs, make adjustments, and you better always be expecting the unexpected. When you get there as well. And, certainly at our place it's a little unique. Your pool is always smaller, because if you start with the transcript first, which we do, that whittles it down quite a bit. And then, finding that, as I say, we have a few more boxes to check in the recruiting process, but also that's how we end up with these kinds of guys, when you go through that process. And they're out there. We just have to work a little harder to find them. They're probably a little farther. We have to expand a little bit more to find them. But I like where we are. Recruiting's kind of like playing. You got to finish. So we're kind of right in the middle of it right now.
Before we wrap it up, I just want to go off the beaten path for a little bit, because you've been at this for a long time, and your coaching compatriot here at Furman, Doug Allison, has been at this for a long time, and he's riding off into the sunset after this year and had arguably the best year of his entire career, which would be saying something, as they've gotten a first-round bye and going to host in the second round here. Just your thoughts on a guy who's about to wrap it up and the time that you've been able to spend with him in a couple of tenures here.
Yeah, Doug, when I was here before, obviously was here because he's been, he and I have been at Furman about the same length of time. Mine was playing assistant coach, head coach. His was all as the head coach over kind of different periods, but have a great deal of respect for Doug. I think the best thing I can say about him, he's the same guy all the time. And, you tell players you want them to play their best when they're a senior, and I guess he's in the senior year of his head coaching career, and you want him to play the best, and they have. Boy, just what a great year! I shot him a text the other night. We were practicing while they were playing Sunday, because Sunday's the day we have to go. But yeah, and that whole group, man, they've had a phenomenal run at Furman. But just what he's done, and good for him. And I think I asked him what he was going to do, and I think he said he didn't know. I think probably like a lot of people do. I'll probably say the same thing one day. But yeah, kudos to him. I think that's one of the unique things at Furman. I think with everybody, there's a little head coaches group text that goes out there, and just support everybody has for each other. But yeah, I know that's pretty exciting to see that, and it'd be fun to kind of watch them, and I think I told him, once you're in it, you might as well win it. So, but it'll be fun to watch them make this run.
Want to give us a closing statement to wrap it up?
Yeah. Again, thrilled to go play. I was thinking about this. So in 1986, I started my coaching career at NC State with Coach Sheridan as a graduate assistant. I left here in 85 and 86 and 87. We played Clemson both years. Actually won both years. Something they hadn't done at NC State in a long time. And then I came back here in 1988, first time full-time job, coaching offensive line, and we played Clemson the first 2 years. I remember going over there in 88, and man, those couple of teams they had in 88 and 89. We go over in 89, we were defending national champions and had our whole team back. But man, I'm thinking about LaVon Kirkland, and I start thinking about all those guys they had, and Coach Ford. And man, just how good he was to us, and but you go over there, and I told them, in those days, the way Coach played, they beat you up in a phone booth. It was, they were beating everybody like 24-7, or that was the games they won. It's not the days where people were throwing around, but you just couldn't score points on them. And I've looked at even some of the schedules of those years. Nobody scored many points on them, because I think 88 they beat Oklahoma one year, they beat Penn State in the bowl game the next year. But I have some of those memories, and we've, I don't know, it seems like it's been every about 4 or 5 years we've kind of played them, over time. And I remember 18, we went over there, and I think all 4 defensive line were first-round picks. I think it was Trevor Lawrence's first game. I think Klubnik in 22, I think that was his second game, because they had played Georgia Tech on the Monday night, before our game. But these games they're always a huge challenge, and you gotta have any chance in these games, which historically you look, we have, but you gotta have something kind of lining up for you. Maybe they've got a key guy out or something like that, but they now with the difference because of the payroll stuff and all, it just makes it so challenging. But our kids went over and competed their tails off, thought, in 22 against a really good Clemson team, and I think our guys will go compete their tails off this week, and that's really all you can ask. I think the other thing I look back, I think in '88, I think the next week was the Punt-Ruski game. I didn't realize that was the next week after we'd played them. I guess was the Florida State Deion game where Florida State ran the Punt-Ruski against them over there in the rain. There at the end of the game, but no, it'll be fun. I'm excited about it too, and it's kind of like some of these places I get people ask me, like pregame, hey, do y'all want to come out before they come out, or do you want to wait? I think I asked in 19 when Virginia Tech, I'd never been there. So you want to come out before we enter Sandman or come out afterwards? I said, oh, no, I want to come out before because I want to see it. So I've been over there plenty of times when they come down the hill, and they won't be yelling for us, but it'll still be exciting to see them come down there, and it'll be a great environment to go play in. And I'm happy for our kids, and what you want to do is you want to go play well, and all you can do is go play well and prepare, and everything else will fall into place, and you can take the results at that point in time, and that's really what we're focused on. Go in there and compete, and we talked about last week, first step for 26. And this is a big step. I think 22, we took a big boost out of playing well over there in 22. It was, I think, game 2. But we had a huge game at East Tennessee the next week. We went up and won a close game. So I think this can kind of propel us in the offseason if we can go play well and do some things that we're capable of doing. And, if we do that, I'll be fine with the results. But appreciate you having us this year. Appreciate you guys always being here.
Well, kickoff at Death Valley is at 4 p.m. It is a CW broadcast. I would never do this for one of Jeff Schetzel's broadcasts, but I will encourage you, if you can't go to the game, watch it, but turn the sound down and listen to our radio broadcast. We'll be on the air it's a 4:30 start, right? Yeah, we'll be on the air at 3 o'clock with the Pepsi Countdown to kickoff via the Fan Upstate, and see how this one plays out when Furman takes on Clemson Saturday at Death Valley. For Coach Hendricks, for Riley Herbert and Ian Williams and all of us at Furman, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you, and so long, everybody.